There is an hour that comes to a house at the end of the day, and you know the one I mean. The light going gold and then gray at the kitchen window. A cup of coffee you poured a while ago, sitting there now gone cold, because you got to thinking and forgot it. The clock on the wall doing its small work in the quiet. And something happens in your chest, something you might not have a name for when you turn around from that window and there is no one in the room to tell about your day. Nothing big to tell. Only that the mail came, or the cardinal was back at the feeder, or your knee ached in the cold and then eased. The small news of a life, and you stand there holding it, and there is no one across the table to hand it to. Maybe that is your evening tonight. Maybe you know that window better than you would like to. So pull your chair close to the fire. Come and sit down here by me. I want to talk to you tonight, you, the one who is listening alone in a quiet house with the dishes done and the day behind you and the long evening opening up ahead. I am not talking to a crowd. I am talking to you. And the first thing I want you to hear, before I say anything else, is that you are not the only one sitting in that quiet tonight. All across this land there are windows going gray and coffee going cold and good people standing in kitchens the way you are standing, feeling the very same ache. You are not strange. You are not the only one. You are part of a great company of quiet houses, and I am one of them, and I am glad you came to sit by the fire. Now let me tell you what the old ones understood about this quiet, because I think it will ease you to hear it. The old ones, and I mean the grandmothers and grandfathers of many nations, the ones who watched the seasons turn for 80 and 90 winters, they did not look at the quiet of later life the way we have been taught to look at it. They did not see it as a punishment. They did not see it as proof that you had done something wrong somewhere back down the road, that if you had only been a better mother, a warmer friend, an easier man to live with, you would not be sitting alone now. That is a cruel story, and a false one, and I want you to set it down. The old ones would not have recognized it. What they saw instead was a season. You have brought your harvest in. Think of that. All those years you were out in the field of your life, planting and hoeing and worrying over the weather, raising the children, going to the work, keeping the roof from leaking and the people you loved from going hungry or going astray. That field is quiet now. The corn is in the crib, and there is a stillness that comes over a place when the harvest is finished. A stillness that a younger person, still out sweating in the rows, cannot even imagine and might not want. It is not the stillness of a field that failed. It is the stillness of a field that gave everything it had, and is resting now, and has earned the rest. The old ones knew that stillness is a season like any other. And nobody scolds the winter for being cold. Nobody stands at the window in January and says, "What did I do wrong that the snow came?" The winter is not a failing. It is a turning. And the quiet that has come into your house is a turning too, and it does not mean the story is over. I will come back to that before we are done, so hold on to it. But I want to say a harder thing now, a truer thing, about that ache you feel when you turn from the window. Because people will tell you loneliness is weakness. They will tell you it is something to be ashamed of, that a strong person would not feel it, that you ought to be able to sit alone in a house and want for nothing. Now you could call it weakness if you wanted to, but the old ones would ask you a question. They would ask you, where does that ache come from? And if you sit with it honestly, you will find it comes from love. That is all it is. Loneliness is not a hole where something is missing. It is a heart that is still full of loving, still as able to love as it ever was, that has simply run short of places to put all that it holds. Do you understand what I am telling you? The ache is the love. You feel it so sharp in the evening because you spent your whole life loving people, pouring yourself into them, and that river in you has not dried up just because the people have gone off to their own lives or walked on ahead of you. The river is still running. It is looking for the sea, And when it cannot find the old channels, it aches against the banks. The ones who feel this the hardest, in my experience, are never the cold ones. They are the ones who loved the most. So if the evening hurts you, I want you to hear that as evidence. Not that you are broken, that you are a person who loved and loves still, and that is the finest thing that can be said about anybody. Now, the old ones did not only sit with this ache and name it, they lived long lives inside it, and they learned some gentle things about how to carry it and how to let the light back in. Let me tell you a few of them, the way they were told to me, not as rules, but as pictures, and you take whichever one is yours. The first thing the old ones did was to stay useful to one other soul, not to the whole village, not to be needed by everybody the way you were needed once, when the house was full and the whole thing would have fallen down without you. That is gone, and chasing it will only hurt you. But one. There is an old woman I remember who could barely get around anymore, and every morning she would put a little cracked corn out for a lame turkey that came to her yard, a bird nobody else would have bothered with. And she used to say that turkey was the reason she got up. Now you could smile at that. But she knew what she was doing. She had found one living thing that was better off because she was still here, and that was enough to hang a whole morning on. Maybe for you it is a phone call to someone who is worse off than you. Maybe it is a plant on the sill that will die if you forget it, and so you do not forget it. Small. It only has to be one, and it only has to be small. But be needed by something, and you will find the day has a handle you can pick it up by. Alongside that, the old ones kept their small daily rhythms like they were sacred, and I have come to think they were. The morning coffee made the same way, in the same cup, looking out the same window, even the window that aches you in the evening. The short walk to the end of the road and back, whether you feel like it or not, especially when you do not feel like it. Tending something that lives, a garden, a dog, a row of beans, a fern in a pot. There is a woman I knew who lost her husband after 51 years, and what carried her through that first terrible winter was not any grand thing. It was that she still made 2 cups of coffee every morning out of habit, and, rather than let that break her heart, she started drinking his, too, slow, sitting in the sun. The rhythm held her when nothing else could. When the big meaning of a life goes quiet, the small rhythms are the rope you hold in the dark, hand over hand, until the morning comes. Do not despise them because they are small. They are keeping you. The old ones did something else that a lot of folks nowadays have forgotten how to do, and it may sound strange to you at first. They kept talking to the ones who had walked on. In many nations it was understood that the dead were not gone so far that you could not still speak to them, and that meanings of this vary from people to people, but the tender heart of it was the same everywhere. You do not have to stop being married just because you are a widow. You do not have to stop being somebody's child just because your mother lies in the ground. There was an old man I sat with once who talked to his wife every single evening out loud, told her about his day, asked her what she thought about the neighbor's new fence, and he was not out of his mind. He was one of the sanest men I ever knew. He had simply refused to let death take the whole of her. He kept her in the conversation. And you can do that. When the cardinal comes to the feeder, you can say out loud, "Look, there he is again," to the one who used to love that bird with you. It is not foolishness. It is love keeping its appointments. And it eases the quiet more than you would think. And the old ones let the world itself be company. This is a thing our age has nearly lost, and it grieves me. We think company has to have a human face and a human voice. But the old ones knew that a person is never truly alone under an open sky. The land is there. The old cottonwood by the fence has been keeping you company for 40 years and asks nothing of you. The moon comes up and does not care how you look or whether you have anything interesting to say. The dog at your feet loves you with a completeness that no person ever quite managed, and thinks you are the finest soul that ever lived, and is right there, warm against your leg, this very evening. The old ones would go out and sit and let the wind and the stars and the small animals be their society, and they came back and less alone because they had remembered they belonged to something far larger than a quiet house. That belonging is still yours. Go to the window that hurts you, and instead of the empty room behind you, look out at the sky in front of you and let it hold you a while. Now here is the hardest one, and the most important, and I would not be honest with you if I skipped it to keep things easy. The old ones reached out first. They did not sit and wait to be reached for. And I know how hard that is when you are the one who is lonely, because loneliness whispers a lie to you. It says nobody wants to hear from you. You would only be a bother. If they wanted you, they would call. That is the loneliness talking, and it is wrong, and it keeps more good people apart than almost anything I know. Because on the other side of town there is somebody sitting in their own gray kitchen thinking the very same lie about you. Two people, both aching, both certain they would be intruding, both waiting by a phone that would ring if either one of them was only brave enough to be the one to lift it. Be the one. Make the call you have been putting off. Say the plain, true thing. I was thinking about you. I wanted to hear your voice. You will find, more often than not, that the person on the other end had been longing to hear from somebody and did not have the courage either. Reaching out first is the bravest thing an older person can do, and the old ones honored it. And I'm asking you, gently, to be brave in that small way this week. And there is one more, and I have saved it because it turns everything toward the light. The old ones let the young come to them for the one thing that only they still carried. You have something in you right now, sitting in that chair, that no young person on this earth possesses and no book can give them. You remember how things were. You carry the stories, the way the town looked before they widened the road, the recipe nobody wrote down, the sound of your grandmother's voice, the whole hard, beautiful truth of having lived a long time through things the young have only heard about. In the old way, this made you not a burden but a treasure, the keeper of the fire, the one the young sat down in front of because you had what they needed. A grandchild does not need you to be spry. They need you to remember. Let them come. And if they do not know to come, tell them anyway. Write it down, say it into a phone, tell it to the one who visits. Your memory is a well, and there are thirsty people, and a well does not apologize for being deep. So let me bring us back around now to you, still sitting there by the fire with me. I want you to hear this, and I want you to let it come all the way in, past the tired place where you stopped believing kind things about yourself. You were never the leftover. You were never the burden, no matter what a hard evening tries to tell you. You are the root. Do you understand? A family is a tree, and everybody looks at the green leaves at the top, the children and the grandchildren waving in the sun, and nobody looks down at the root. But there would be no tree without the root. Everything green up there is drinking from you, right now, tonight, whether they think to thank you or not. The love you poured out for 50 and 60 years did not vanish. It went up into people who are alive because you loved them, and it is still going up. You are not finished. A root is not finished when the leaves stop noticing it. A root is the reason the whole thing stands. The quiet in your house does not mean your story is over. It means the field is resting, and even a resting field is alive and full of what is coming. There is more for you yet. One more spring, one more small usefulness, one more evening like this one, where somebody needed exactly what only you could give. And for tonight, for right now, for as long as this fire burns and this old voice keeps talking to you, I want you to know that you are not alone in that quiet house. I am here with you. We are sitting together. The coffee is warm again. And out there in the dark, a great company of good and gentle people your age are hearing these same words and feeling a little less alone, too. And you are all keeping each other company across all those miles without even knowing each other's names. So rest now. You did enough today. You have been loved and you have loved, and that is not past tense, it is who you are. Stay by the fire as long as you need to. I am not going anywhere, and you, dear heart, are not and never were the only one.